The United States just launched their instant payment service called FedNow today, July the 20th. And so with this, I've got 4 altcoins for you that will make you rich, that will be perfect, buy the rumor, sell the news altcoins for 2025 based on their connections into the FedNow system, into this new payment system the United States has just adopted. And typically what happens with first movers? Well, first movers typically have the advantage, right? They typically claim most of the demand and tend to be around for the longest time. And these 4 altcoins are the first movers. So whether you buy them or not, that's up to your own discretion, but you definitely need to be aware. So let me take your attention now to the screen and let's have a look at what I'm talking about. So of course, again, for those who don't know, the FedNow is America's new instant payment service. A lot of different, countries and nations around the world essentially have this instant payment service. The European Union does, Australia does, so on and so forth, okay? So it just pretty much is getting rid of the legacy systems that are, really, really poor. Like I remember I worked in a bank for 4 years. I used to do transfers and sometimes they'd take weeks and weeks because they get lost in some way or another, right? It's just a horrible system. So we're moving to this instant payment system that is supported by ISO 20022, which we'll get to in just a second. So these 4 altcoins are actually connected right now to the service providers providing a, payment solution system between like the web, between these participating financial institutions. Now, as you can see, America's got thousands or tens of thousands of, you guys are crazy, credit unions, financial institutions. So this obviously isn't the full list itself. You can see some really big names, right? JP Morgan Chase down here, US Bank, Wells Fargo, so on and so forth. So we do have some really big players already, right? But of course, there's a lot of room to grow. This is just the Genesis inception list. So what I want to take your attention to right now is actually the participation, right? The guys, pretty much the web that's connecting all these institutions together, the certified service providers. And this is where we can begin to kind of, thread the needle on the possible connections here between these 4 altcoins and of course, this new payment system, okay? So I want to take your attention to 2 specific players in the service providers here. We have FIS and we have Temenos, right? I'm going to come to why in just a second, but let me just firstly introduce you to these 4 altcoins. Now, let me just say something for the record. You definitely won't be surprised with 2 of them, okay? And that's XRP and XLM. Now, they're both connected via Temenos, right? And we saw a second ago, Temenos was right down the bottom here. So that's how they're actually, they're partnered with, but that's how they're actually connected to this system, which is important, right? Because when we think about it, this instant payment system is where the United States is moving. Now, for us over in Australia, we've had this for a while. We've had this instant payment service here for a fair few years now. It's called MPP, but no one knows about it, right? I only pretty much figured it out the other day, right? No one really knows. And so therefore, these type of things take a long time to enter into the economy. They take a long time for people to adopt it, all the financial institutions to begin using. Now, I must say, some of the big banks, they'll start using it, and all the credit unions and all the smaller banks underneath them will obviously begin to pick them up. But, this does still take a little bit of time. So again, this is why it's important for us to recognize the players in the crypto space right now, hedging themselves into this growth spurt that's happening, because they will become familiar with a lot of the institutions and therefore they will continue to see demand even though we have other cryptocurrency solutions come on board. Remember, first mover advantage, right? So again, Temenos is connected via these 2. Now, Temenos is a massive company. If we have a look at the website over here, they're a trusted SAS or software as a service for 700 plus banks around the world. I must say, it's not the best website in the world, but guys, they are massive to say the least. Now, obviously, XLM and XRP are somewhat intimate, if that makes sense, without sounding too sexual. So, of course, they're going to have very similar connections and stuff. They don't work together per se, but they definitely are very similar. You could almost call them sister nets. So that makes a lot of sense, right? But what might puzzle you over here is something that a good friend of mine and someone who you should all go and subscribe to, DHN, right? His name is Wade. He actually pointed this out in a recent video right over here. Right? FedNow launches with Hedera integration, everything you need to know. I suggest you watch this video. He goes over so much more in that. It's going to blow your mind, right? And subscribe to him because he drops gems on the daily. But he pretty much pointed out that, I don't know why anyone else hasn't pointed it out yet, honestly, that FIS, which is one of Hedera's governing council members, is actually a service provider, as we saw back over here, FIS, right? So pretty important stuff. And if you have a look at the FIS's website, you guys know what I meant. They have Fortune 50 corporations under their belt, right? So again, just like Temenos, massive player right here. Nothing short of what I would expect from HBAR, to be honest with you guys. And again, they are on the governing council, as you can see over here. One of the first ones, actually, right over here. Okay, so that's awesome, right? That's some awesome news. We're going to go a little bit more into some of this in just a second and bring in ISO 20022. But a name on this list a lot of you might not have expected, okay, is XDC. Now, why do I say XDC? Well, XDC actually isn't already somehow connected to the FedNow system, okay? But it has a really important ecosystem project called Impel that has partnered with another really promising project called Fluent Finance. Right now, I've got possibly down here because, again, it's not as though this partnership is possibly, it's the fact that they aren't officially a service provider just yet. Now, just like the financial institutions that can be onboarded and will be onboarded as this does progress, remember, this launched today, so too will the service providers. And I think that either Fluent Finance, Impel, or at least someone connected to Fluent Finance will become a sort of service provider, or at least they will create a partnership with an existing service provider, which will give XDC this connection, which is actually very important because it will really help the trade aspect of XDC. Now, XDC's had some very big news recently with the UK bill being passed, so this project is going to literally start flying off the wall soon. So if you don't know about XDC already, you need to watch my video on that I posted yesterday. Anyway, guys, it's some massive stuff because, as I said, you know, the Impel partnership with Fluent Finance can really unlock the doors here, right? So again, we want to kind of look into the future a bit. You know, we want to be buying the rumor, selling the news. We don't want to be buying it when it pumps, okay? So have a look at XDC's price here. It's pumped like a lot in the last day, okay? So we don't want to be kind of the person that kind of panics up here because of some good news. We want to be buying down here when it's in this current stage, okay? So let me read to you something that, you know, was put out on October the 6th last year that can possibly be the catalyst of what's to come next, right? Impel and Fluent have entered into a strategic partnership that will deliver a variety of innovative software solutions to the XDC Networks ecosystem by allowing traditional banks and financial institutions to benefit from decentralized finance using DLT. And so if we scroll down here, get this, Fluent created a federation of banks that will mint and redeem US Plus on and off the XDC network. Now, US Plus is like a stable coin, as you can see over here, that they're going to bring to the XDC network. Now, of course, this isn't like brand spanking new news, but I believe it will definitely be the catalyst for a potential onboarding into this instant payment service. Again, the reason why I keep, you know, pestering you about this instant payment service is because it is essentially going to become the entire US economy, right? It's all going to be passing through that. And if we come over here, you know, we're not talking about a few billions here, guys. What does it say over here, right? This is the GDP over here in the US in 2022, $25 trillion, okay? Massive. Now, of course, I can go on for days and days about these 4 projects. And of course, I can probably go on to individual days about each and every single one of these. But of course, as we should all know by now, they're all ISO 20022 compliant, which again is like the mesh in between all the different sort of instant payment networks around the world, right? So pretty much you can look at it as the whole entire world is going to be adopting an interoperability standard called ISO 20022 that allows for these complex messages to occur. And therefore you partner that with individual nations having like an instant payment service. It's just going to be this whole world is connected, okay? And very, very fast too. And so obviously these projects as well are on this list: Ripple, XDC, Stellar, and of course HBAR. And as we all know by now, I made a video yesterday that we know that they are. And as I said, they're going to be unlocking trillions of dollars in each of these economies, right? We've got the FedNow launched today, faster payments over in the UK, China, IBPS, SCT, and NPP over here, obviously in Australia. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if you aren't already aware of this sort of stuff, you need to be. And as a serious investor, as someone who looks at the future, right? We're in crypto for starters. We're already hyper freaks when it comes to looking at the future technology sort of things. And so we have to, again, look within our niche already. Look at what is coming next. And what's coming next is projects like these 4, top of their game, hands down, without a doubt, right? And they're moving into where the actual world is heading, where, you know, these economies are looking to use and leverage DLTs, distributed ledger technologies, aka blockchain technology, hashgraph, distributed tech, right? And so obviously this is some big stuff. Now, I wanted to say for all you guys out there thinking, okay, well, what if my favorite project could be somehow interconnected with a service provider, therefore accessible to the FedNow system? Well, guys, you can go ahead and look at this yourself, right? So if you obviously are intimately connected or at least knowledgeable on your cryptocurrencies and projects, again, subscribe to Wade because he'll definitely find them if there is connections there. You want to go through here, and as I said, there's the same page up here, right? So we're going to go through this, the participation providers, which again will be updated, and you can definitely check when it was last updated by the date down the bottom here, and go through here and just have a look at whether the connections are actually there, right? So this might take you a couple hours to do, but at least you'll be able to go through your project and say, hey, hang on a second, this little microcap project I'm holding is actually connected to Finastra Finastra, right? And so, oh my God, there's a possible connection here, right? So maybe something's brewing under the surface, and that's kind of what all this really means at the end of the day. Things are brewing underneath the surface, and obviously there is more that goes into it, but of course, you can begin connecting the dots, right? This is why it's so critical to follow people like Wade, to follow people like Cypress. I'll leave his link down below as well, because these are the people that spend all day going through the connections, right? That's not what I do. That's not what I do on this channel, and not what I love to do, but these guys get in there. They'll find, okay, who's this person, right? He was previously working with this company like Swift, and then they'll just put everything together and then summarize it, and it's like, wow, it's all there. It's just like hard to find, okay? So one thing I like to say, and I'm gonna pretty much be preaching a lot more, is just like real life with your friend groups, okay? It's whoever you surround yourself with is who you become. And I think if I don't want to keep you guys on my channel for all the latest news. I want the best for you, right? So you got to follow these other people, because when you do, you will begin to know more instinctively, and then you'll go to talk to friends and family that don't know this sort of stuff, but are in crypto, and you'll sound like a friggin' genius just because these guys literally, as their job, do this for you all day, every day. You can just sit back, relax, and just absorb the information, of course, right? So I'm not going to go over the charts too much. I think anyone can go through any of these charts and have a look themselves. Obviously, HBAR isn't too bad right now in terms of a buy price, right? I think anything under 5 cents has always been a good buy price for HBAR. It shot up a bit recently, but remember, I look at the last 12 months trading because this is essentially the bear market, right? So what I'm looking at here is, okay, well, this is a bear market. So if we're down, it's obviously pretty good because, again, we're looking at a bear market. Same thing for XRP, obviously. I mean, guys, XRP's pretty much moved sideways, but we all know the reason why it's pumped. And same with XLM as well. This has just gone through the roof as well. Lower market cap, hence why it's pumped up. I remember back down here when I was looking at XLM, and I was telling you guys to look at buying XLM. It was like $2.5 billion market cap or something crazy like that. I actually haven't had a look at that yet, but just from memory, yeah, it makes sense. So we have XDC, by far the smallest project on this list, but again, it's also pumped recently too, because that UK bill has now passed, pretty much opening up XDC to another economy, right? So these guys are pretty well working with Japan, or at least will be very, very soon, and now possibly intimately connected with the UK economy as well. And, you know, off the back of all this amazing FedNow news, again, like Wade DHN said in one of his videos, I mean, we have to look at this, guys. It's the precipice, right? It's the start of something new. This news, what we have right now, is literally going to be the best news that happens in the next decade, and I 100% agree with what he says there. So what I would do if I was you is take the information from this video, let it sink in, look at all your chips on the table, and then go make your decisions, okay? Because again, you want to be best prepared for 2025. And guess what? We've got a big, big catalyst here for these projects to jump up in price. Now, guys, thank you so much for watching all the way through. Appreciate you digging through my rambling. Please like the video if you have enjoyed. And of course, I do 2 videos every single damn day, so subscribe for more content. Take good care of yourself. Talk to you soon. Bye.